According to Section 2.0, Code 4, Section Paragraph 5 of the U.S. justice system.
Hey guys, I'm Ceci.
Hey, I'm Bryson.
And this is
What the Why? Welcome back to another episode. We're talking about summer. We're talking about the summer series we just did, and we're talking about recovering from that summer spend, financial literacy. We're super excited about this episode, or I'm excited. Ceci, you excited?
I'm so excited. We spent so much money this summer. How are we recovering from that? What are we doing? What kind of habits are we forming? Let's talk about it.
Yeah, let's dive right in. All right, as they say, dive into the deep end, or maybe a swimmer does. I don't know, but let's get it going. Let's get it going.
Let's do this.
We just finished our mini series of summer travel, summer saving, summer budget. Super awesome.
Amazing. I loved it. We talked about a lot of really, really good things in the past episode, like travel hacks, like what we do at the airport, and then also moving out of state. That was like a really, really fun episode we did. And then also buying a house. Now, that's like a huge purchase.
I'm here. Yeah, it's crazy. It's terrifying. It's still terrifying. Yeah, no, I think the summer series, for those, first time viewing, make sure you go like, subscribe, go check out those. We touched on, like Ceci said, traveling on a budget. And then Neelam, one of our guest speakers, came on, talked about her experience moving for a budget. She loved LA, but, not the cost. So she moved to Nashville. And that's you talked about it too in the last one, where you moved to Atlanta from LA.
I love ATL, and I can't wait for you to come visit because there's so many green putt-putts around here. I don't know how to,
perfect.
What to call it.
Golf course, putt-putt, Shanker, Rama, whatever you want to call it.
I've never hit a golf club. That's what they're called, right?
Golf club
before. So I'm excited to get out on the greens and like do an episode out on like a golf cart with you.
Yeah, that would be fun. I think, and
really
those
fun.
Tuning in, follow along on our journey. It's going to be fun.
And
we'll
that's
have some
exactly
other guest
why
speakers.
I moved to ATL.
So we talked about summer travel, and I know on the last episode, or the house was obviously a big purchase, and then traveling on a budget. I talked about all the weddings I was at this summer and how crazy expensive it was.
How many were they again?
Oh God, four
weddings. And
four bachelor parties too. And
if that's like on the behalf of the bride and groom, like kudos. That's a huge purchase. Like I've been there, and you'll get there. Like I'm excited for you because you're getting married later this year, but you're doing it differently. So like that's a whole expense as well. Like summer spending is at an all-time high. Like we're talking about it in personal ways. So you being in 3 weddings, like that is easily $30K right there for like the bride and groom. So I totally like empathize with excessive spending over the summer.
Yeah. No, it's and you buying a car, right? Like that's crazy.
Yeah, it's
that's a big purchase.
It is a big purchase. Like going from a lease to now thinking about purchasing a vehicle, it's like a lot of steps. So who knew that a car could be as much as a wedding, or if anyone is spending that much on a wedding,
but hey,
versus a car,
You're getting a good car though. RAV4 crew right here.
Holla. But I'm very excited about that purchase. I think it's huge. It's a huge step to like own a car too. So we'll keep you updated. I'll let you know how all that goes.
I think though that's like a great segue into what we're talking about today, financial literacy, and what happens after you spend all that money, Shaka. And I think what we talked about, we're talking about the why behind making budgets and building that financial freedom to buy a RAV4, to go to weddings and drive around on a golf cart.
To ball out at a wedding and wear your best attire and drink excessively and just have the best summer of your life. So I think that's an important part of, you want to make these big purchases over the summer, or, at any point in your life. And now at the end of it, you're like, crap, like I just made a huge purchase. How am I going to pay for the rest of the things that I need to? A good example of that is that down payment for your house, a down payment for a car. That is something that you'll definitely need to start saving early so that you can have like that down payment early. Yeah.
And I think that's pro tip 1 when it comes to your goals and setting them. Like be ambitious. I think that was like one of the takeaways that we kind of talked about offline was, we talked about our cars when we were kids, and there was no way in hell when I was driving my beat up Hyundai Elantra that was making weird clackling noises that I'd be able to afford a real car. And I just was ambitious. I'm like, here's my goal, here's my timeline, here's how I'm going to save for it. So like having that ambitiousness of like, yeah, you're here now, but future you is going to thank you putting that little money, even if it's $5-10 a month, you know, that builds up over time with compounding interest and savings, paying yourself, as you always keep talking about. So
Love to pay myself. You have to be able to put that money away.
When it comes to that ambitiousness, that first point, you kind of just talked about something that I do as well. So the synergetic vibes right there between Ceci and
corporate
BC.
synergy.
The corporate synergies, all right? But like you said yourself, yeah, I do the same thing like with my paycheck. I love it for the brief second that it's in my checking account, and then it gets dispersed, you know, mortgage,
Where did it
car,
go?
But
I don't know
good
where it
things.
went.
You paid yourself first. I love that. I think that's another great like subsection point in ambitiousness. Pay yourself first.
Pay yourself first. You got to put that money away so that you can make that payment in the future.
Yeah, when I first bought my first car, like I was very not ambitious. You know, that changed over time, but like I bought my first car and you know, I saved up working part-time at a grocery store. And it's like, oh my God, I could do this. And then, yeah, take it off the lot. Front wheel falls off. I'm kidding. It didn't, but like.
Right. But still, I drove it off of the, I don't even remember. It was like an LA parking lot. I saw the ad and I was like, oh my gosh, this Jetta is so cute and beautiful. It was a 2002 Jetta, cobalt blue. I think that's the color. And I was just so excited I was just excited. I was like, oh my gosh, I need this vehicle, going from a Ford Taurus. R.I.P. Ford Taurus to now this.
GG. Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful Jetta with a sunroof that I could drive around my friends in.
And I think you just made another great point. Point 2 on our podcast is complacency. Like when you and I had these cars, and I'll speak for myself, but would love to get your thoughts. When I bought mine, I was very complacent. You know, it's like, okay, I'm 16. I have this much money to spend. I'm going to find a car that works within that budget, which is smart. Back to like the 50-30-20 rule, make a budget, make sure it works for you. Obviously, I wasn't there at 16. I, you know, still living with parents and having a lot of bills and things helped with. But when I could afford that car, I looked at the car just like you. I was like, oh, this blacked out Hyundai Elantra had black wheels, and oh my God, it's a stereo. I can play my own music, like a CD player, if you remember those.
CD player.
That Gen Z that's logging on, you don't know what that is.
Now, Bryson, imagine taking that car now to where we are in our lives. And for example, you taking Rhea on a date in that car, or me like trying to drive around at ATL with Kellen picking up our Costco groceries.
Oh
the complacency that we had in life, like we have really upgraded and moved away from the complacencies of our past. And I love that for us.
No, I totally agree with you. I don't think Rhea would, I don't think she would be in the same car as me. She'd probably be like, I'm going to Uber or like ride a scooter or a golf cart and stay like to the side of you. She's like, I'm not driving that piece of shit. Me and Rhea both.
I'm going to be like, Rhea, come into the RAV4. We got to.
Yeah, you're going to skirt over with the hybrid. You're going to back out. It's going to say the heavenly. No, but you're right. Like complacency, it happens. Everyone gets to a complacent point in their time, whether it's for your career, your life, your finances. But I think the biggest thing, and it kind of coincides with being ambitious, is getting out of that complacent mindset and being like, okay, I'm here now and this is fine. But, you know, always be thinking ahead, always be thinking of the future and what's next. And now look at us. We got RAV4s. We are better earners. We use that money for good, and golf.
But yes, the complacency we're done with. We're not excessively spending on things that we don't need and saying, forget our goals. Let's just ball out on this or spend money. It's not even balling out. It's just maybe making a financial purchase that you're not really thoughtfully thinking about. I could have put that money into a down payment for something else. I might have still have that car today. Who knows?
Yeah.
But
no, you're right, and I think that's like a great kind of pivot into. So you know, we talked about being ambitious, not being complacent, and those are two things to think about. But then it's like, okay, how do we put that into a plan? Like, how do we make action on that plan.
Take action. Don't be complacent. Be ambitious. What are you going to do?
Put an action to your plan. You're not going to be complacent. You're going to be ambitious. Even though you think those goals are out of reach, be ambitious about them. And if you work hard, you can achieve them. And I think that's a great point. So we got point 1.2. Now the action plan, subsection B, paragraph 2.
Throw it down.
Kobe, R.I.P.
Yes.
Be frugal. I think that was the first point, was you have no complacency. You're being ambitious. Now it's talking about being frugal with your money. Ceci, you brought up a great point. So like, obviously it was a very different time. You're like, what? What was that? Excuse me, sir?
What did I say?
Well, you mentioned like with your car, right? Like obviously it was a totally different mindset we had, and I don't think it would necessarily be a regret, right? Like you enjoyed that car, you learned your lessons. No regrets. No regrets. But now, okay, you mentioned you have the car leased. It made sense for you at that financial point, but now you're looking at how much you owe. Are you going to release? And now you said you're kind of thinking about, yeah. Now you're thinking about like just buying it outright, right? Like going into like financing it.
Yes. And I think that's like the frugal step. Like you gotta be frugal. You can't just think of, I think as you continue on your own financial journey, you have to really think about your current situation. And being frugal is just one of those things that should be included in that that next step for you. You've done the work to make purchases, like these big purchases. Now it's just time to be frugal and make that decision based on what makes the most sense for your pocket.
Yeah. And how long ago did you guys lease that car?
2020.
2020?
21.
Okay.
I think 21. Yes.
Okay. So you had, the reason to bring that up, there's an article that I was reading on our site the other day that it was basically from one of our, one of the people that we interviewed, and they had these 7 steps of like, I'm frugal, here are the 7 steps that I use for best shopping hacks. And I think they're talking about grocery stores, but I think this can relate to a lot of different financial purchases. So you did that in 2020, 2021. It's been a few years now. They talked about one of their steps was implementing a cool off period. So I do this a lot with my finances, especially Amazon, because it's, you know, a love-hate relationship. I have all these things in my cart, but I wait. I'm like, okay, I'm going to wait
Isn't
a week.
it so
depending on
fun?
what it is. It's so bad.
Just add it to your cart and don't buy it. Just add
and then
it.
Amazon keeps reminding you, like, hey, you
Yes.
bought, hey, it's 10 cents cheaper today. You sure? And you're like, oh yeah, 10
you know
cents.
what?
I'm gonna buy that.
Sephora has done the same thing, and it's terrible because Sephora, I think you can easily drop like $500 at Sephora. For
And it's
our
little
girlies out
small
there,
products.
I'm like, why is this chapstick? I mean, I don't know.
But
I use, yeah. Mm-hmm.
that's where you would implement the cool off period. That's what I do mine. Like it's usually, depending on the necessity, if I categorize it in either one, it's usually like a 1 to 3 week cool off period. So like I wait, I go back to it, and then usually I'm more even minded. It's like, oh, I don't need that. Or it's like, no, I still want it. I can budget for it. But you did that with your car, it sounds like. I mean, that's exactly
100%.
what you guys did.
Yeah, exactly. And right now, I didn't even know that that was an option for us. We were like, okay, should we just buy a brand new car? Just like use some of our savings to throw into a car? But that's not necessary. I think that's part of being frugal, is just like understanding your current situation and being like, okay, I need to make a decision based on frugality instead of, you know, something
like that
else.
word.
Like whatever your why is. Do you want to try to impress your friends by pulling up in a stretch limo? You might not want to be driving a stretch limo in 2024. Who knows? But
It might be a little tough.
I don't need a Hummer. I don't need a BMW. I do need that RAV4.
Yeah. So don't be complacent. Be ambitious. You have those ideologies. Now you put a plan of attack to expand on those. First one, be frugal and use research, right? And I think that like comes into play, especially when it comes to comparing, right? So like I would imagine, like walk me through when you guys got the RAV4. You turned in the
100%.
bucket.
Yes.
Or you just left
I
it on
didn't
the
have
freeway.
that. I did not have that car anymore. I actually, there's a whole story about that car, but it's
Tune in
trauma.
next episode.
Car trauma is so real. My friend Steph and I talk about this all the time, and shout out to Steph, who also has a podcast, by the way. But we talk about it all the time, how car trauma, we went through the same car trauma in our 20s. But now comparing and now being like, I have options. I do not have to go back to that crappy lot in LA and buy another 4K car.
Back to complacency.
Help me.
Don't be complacent. Don't be complacent, and be ambitious. And now here you are. You compared models. You did the research. You looked and reviewed. And that's all kind of bucketed under like being frugal. Now what we're going to do is get into broadcast questions. Ceci, first question comes to you from
I love
Amanda.
this one.
Should I be letting my boyfriend or husband pay for everything?
Ooh, Amanda, this is such a good question. I think that this is unpopular opinion right now, but for example, me, I earn my own money. My husband and I split things. He does pay for a lot of things separately from like what I pay for, but I think it's empowering to earn your own money. It's not something that you should rely on someone else for.
Obviously, as you grow together and you become more and more, your finances will be intertwined, but at the same time, you want to expect the unexpected. You don't want to get complacent. Back to our number one point, don't be complacent with someone else paying for you. Ball out with your own money. I mean, it's a great feeling. I know, she's working, she's a nurse. She has her own money to spend. She loves it. She loves being able to like do things. And I think that's just a good feeling. So
it's just an empowering thing, Amanda.
Yeah.
And I think just like Bryson answered this question for me, should I be, I'm just kidding. Should I be letting my boyfriend or husband pay for everything? No, like, girl, you earn your own money. You can do this. Like, stay empowered, have access to your finances. And we will do more questions around women and finances. I think that that's just a great topic with the way that women are earning more these days. I think it's just great to call that out. So we will do like a whole series on this. We have a column called The Financially Savvy Female. So we will include that link below, and I hope that empowers you even more. Okay, Bryson, this question is from Chelsea. How much should I be saving a month? And this question, it looks like there's a TikTok linked here. This is just a question that's being circulated around right now, is like, if you are in your early 30s, if you're in your 20s, how much should you actually be saving? Like, can we all share all of our, if in the comments, like, tell us how much you're saving.
Yeah, and everyone's different. We talked about it in our summer travel series. We talked about it in episode 1. At one point, I wasn't saving anything. All of my money was going to rent, to my car, to food, to miscellaneous things. Now I can. I think the biggest, gold avenue, the more you could save while still living, the way you want to live, right? Like having that level of freedom, the better. Think about the 50-30-20 rule. Ideally, 20% a month should be going to savings. And that could be savings in an emergency fund, investing, retirement, all the above. But, everyone's different depending on what walk of life you're in, how you're progressing in your career, how much money you're earning, how much money you're spending. I think the first question the first answer to that would really be, make sure you have that budget to see where your money and spend is coming from. And after that, see kind of what leftover you have. And if you can, put it into savings. And
start small. Start
small. That's what I did.
You don't need to save, $100,000 right away. That's great if you do. But at the same time, like, save $20.
The biggest thing I can say, if you can, 20% or more is ideal.
Love it. So if you haven't already, please submit a broadcast question. You can send it to our email address, whatthewhy@gobankyourates.com, or send us a DM. We won't judge you. Just send us a question. We'll answer it in a future episode.
Yes, absolutely. And again, guys, always be asking yourself the why behind your finances. That's why we built this podcast. That's why we're here. Make sure to tune into our next episodes. We're going to be doing more traveling, talking about finances in every walk of life. And as they say, I don't know what they say, but you know what we say?
What the why?
What the why?
What the why?
I'm Bryson.
I'm Ceci.
I'm Bryson. And
I'm Ceci.
we will see you
this
next time.
Is What the Why.